Hey guys, it's Lori here, Pizazz Studios. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to work on a 6x6 tile. I have a large cup here of my house paint recipe, which I'm just going to put a little bit of paint on here just to show you. A lot of people ask me, how do you get your tile to stay on the cup when you spin it so that it doesn't go flying off? Well, that's the secret. So I have my spinner under here. It's a cake spinner with a silicone mat. I took a silicone mat, it was like a rectangle size. I cut it to size to fit around my cake spinner so that it fits pretty perfectly. There's a little bit, I didn't cut it evenly, but that's okay. It covers the majority of the cake spinner for me, and I put paint down on the mat, and then I put the cup in that little bit of paint so that it sticks when it starts to dry. And then I'll go ahead and put a little bit more just on the top of the cup. So then I place the tile right on top of that, give it just like a little push there to get it to stay down. And then as you're working on it, it's gonna start to dry, and then your tile will stick to it, and then you can spin it without your tile going flying off. So that's how that works. In case you needed to know that, I thought I'd share that tip with you today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay down some of my house paint recipe here, which is basically my house paint, GAC 800, and some water that I mix in with it, just for consistency. This tile is actually kind of brown. I typically paint on white tiles, but I have these brown ones, so I'm gonna go ahead and use these. The white will cover it nicely. I have used these before and it works perfectly. So you can pretty much use any tiles you have. Sometimes you can get freebies from people, yard sales even sometimes, or you can get tiles at Lowe's, Home Depot, places like that, home improvement stores. Fairly cheap. Like I said, this is a 6x6 ceramic tile. You want to make sure the top is covered well. You want to make sure all your edges are covered well. Okay, I just need a little bit more over here. This doesn't take very long to do. As you can see, it's fairly quick. I'm just using a tongue depressor stick. I don't typically like the little popsicle sticks. They're not really large enough for me to work with. I like these larger sticks better. They're fatter and they're easier to work with for me, so I usually use these. If you can't find them locally, I believe I got these ones on Amazon. So you can get them on Amazon. Now I'm gonna take my hand torch here. I'm just gonna torch it a little bit. Remove any small air bubbles I might have in the paint. Wasn't very many, so that was good. I'm just gonna adjust my cake spinner here a little bit. It's not centered here. Looks like it's a little off-centered. I have a mat here underneath it that's moving with it. Okay, so there we go. Let me just move the phone up a tad as well. I feel like it's a little off here. Sorry about that. Trying to adjust it so that you get the best view you can get. Okay, that seems better. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a tad of this, place it in the center. This is my house paint, not very much. I'm just gonna put just a little bit. Now I have paints here today that are just leftover paints that I've been using on various projects. Some of these cups have very little paint left in them, so I'm just gonna try to use up some of my leftover paints and see what we get. This one is a turquoise. Artist Loft turquoise. next paint I have here is actually a color shift paint. It changes from blue to purple. It's called Blue Flash. This is a really cool paint, if you can see. Not sure if it shows up in the phone, but it's blue and then it changes to purple in certain lighting and depending on the way you look at it. Let's place a little bit of that down here. It's a really pretty color. Let's see, I have light violet. This is pretty. We'll put this on top of that color shift paint. This is Artist Loft Light Violet. Not sure how all these colors are going to look together, but we shall see. Oh, let's see, what else do I have? I have, excuse me, Artist Loft Brilliant Magenta. Put that down next. I have a custom color that I made up. This is a coral. It's a really pretty coral color. And what else do we have? Next one I have is some phthalo green. I'm just, like I said, using up my colors here. I don't know what this is gonna look like. This is a little interesting combination of colors, huh? Well, I hope it's pretty. And Artist Loft Aqua. That's what this one is here that I just laid down. Now, I do have to get my cell activator. Bear with me a moment. I made this up too the other day. I'm gonna give it a stir. It's been sitting here covered and I have not used it. So I need to give it a stir before I can put it down here. Also going to go ahead and torch that real quick. I only see a couple tiny, tiny bubbles. It probably wouldn't even made a difference, but what the heck, I'll go ahead and torch it anyway. I'm gonna blow this out in just a moment, but I wanna put down the cell activator first. So this is a black cell activator. It's Amsterdam Oxide Black. I am putting a decent amount of this down. I don't usually put quite so much, but I felt like I needed to, so there we go. Now I'm gonna blow this out, pardon my head for just a moment. Okay, I'll let this sit a minute and see what we get. It's a very interesting color combination. Like I said, probably not something I would have just picked, but these are the colors I had on my table here, so it's going to use it. I do have some bubbles I'm going to pop because there was quite a few there. I'm gonna let this sit a minute, see if the middle will come back in. I feel like a little more white is needed just around the edges here, so I'm gonna do that in the meantime. Just so there's enough paint here around the edges for it to, when I spin it, I want the paint to flow off the edges. Over here, it looks really light on paint in this corner here, so put a decent amount down here. Okay, that's looking decent. All right, now, well, I'm not seeing an awful lot of cells coming up here. I'm gonna give this a spin. We'll see what happens. The paint is flowing off the edges nicely, so it was good that I added that extra white paint. We need a little bit more over here. This side seems to be flowing a little bit easier than this side. Okay, now let's spin it again. See, this corner is not quite making it all the way over, but I think it will. I'm just gonna give it a little bit more help here. A little more paint there for it to grab a hold of. One more spin. Oh, whoa, okay. That is not the way you spin it. All right, well, as you can see, my cup went flying off. That does not happen very often. Oh boy. Okay, now what? The fun of live video, huh? Oh, that's too bad. I'm surprised by that because that, like I said, never happens really. I mean, obviously the paint was not quite dry enough underneath, but that's all right. That was a surprise to me. That doesn't usually happen. Oh, it's too bad because look at what happened all this. Well, I'm not sure what to do at this point. Wow. Let's see. Maybe I can save this. I'm gonna give it a push in the middle. Try to get my tile to stay down. Oh, wow. Oh well, it's all good. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add more paint and sort of start over. I'm gonna just paint over what's here. Maybe it'll mix together, maybe it'll paint over it, who knows? Because at this point, I don't have much choice. I mean, I could scrape this whole thing, start completely over, but I think what I'd rather do is just sort of go from here. A good amount of paint on this tile. Wow. Okie dokie. So now, this color here is Artist Loft Brilliant Magenta. I'm gonna go ahead and put some of that down. I feel like some of that just blobbed out on me. Let's see if I can get that out. There we go. Like I said, these paints are leftovers. They've been sitting for a couple days. Trying to use them up. This is light violet again. I can't believe that thing went flying. That's kind of funny. Oh well. Hey, that happens. As some of you, I'm sure, know. Okay, looking around to see what other colors I have. I have some of that coral I'm gonna lay down here next. The one I just did was that color shift paint, purple blue. It's called Blue Flash. I just put some of that down there. What else do I have here in front of me? There's a little more aqua we can use. just about empty now. I do have a little bit of copper in this cup I can use, so I'm gonna put some copper down. And I have some gold, very little bit, like I'm literally scraping the bottom of these cups here, just trying to use up my paint. That's the 24 karat gold extreme sheen from Deco art. Okay, let me give my cell activator a bit more of a stir. And we will try this again. Hopefully, my tile is going to stay in place. All right, there we go. Let's give this a shot. It's a big tile. Okay, let's let this sit just a moment. We'll see what happens here. We got a lot more cells coming up, probably because I put some more metallics in there. Wow, this section here is really pretty. So maybe this turned out for the better, huh? With my tile flying off. This is actually a lot prettier than the other colors. I feel like I should have maybe put a bigger puddle there in the middle, but we'll see. We'll leave it alone. We'll give it a second for that paint to come back into the center of the tile. I'm gonna put some white around the edge because I'm gonna spin this in a minute. Cross your fingers for me that this tile stays put. So when you're doing this, you might want to just give it a little bit longer for it to sit before you spin, just to make sure that paint underneath dried a little bit more than I had let it dry. That should not happen to you, because like I said, that very, very rarely happens. So we have a lot of cells coming up here in the middle. I'm gonna turn this to some pretty cells over here. Over here as well. I'm just turning it so that you can see it from different angles. When I'm finished, I'll bring the phone down for a close-up for you. Hopefully I can get this to spread out enough. Seems like it's a little off-centered too, so let's see if this paint wants to move at all. Well, some of it does, but not the middle just yet. So I'm just gonna let it sit for another minute. I have an air bubble here. I'm gonna pop this bubble. There we go. This is working out nice. See, I'm letting it sit a little bit longer, and as I do, more cells are coming up here, and this paint's coming back to the center. I'm gonna see if it'll move a little bit more now. Well, a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna spin this. I'm gonna see what happens. Nice and slowly. All right, the paint is flowing nicely on this side not so much. So what I'm gonna do is add a little more paint over here. This is actually kind of pretty. I'm gonna show you in a moment when we come down for the close-up. turning out really nice. I have to spin a little bit harder. I'm just a little leery of spinning too hard, but I'm gonna have to do it. I need to get these corners covered a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is working good now. That was pretty funny though, I gotta say. Yeah, I thought I was entertaining today, right? Get all out a good laugh and that one flying. Like, oh no! But then after the fact, what are you gonna do? You gotta laugh, right? All right, this is good. This is good. This is flowing off here. A tad more white on the edge. Like I said, it was off-centered. Most of it started flowing off the other side here, but I'll give it one more spin. Hopefully last spin. Okay. Staying up there nicely this time. The tile, that is. Okay, so I had to stop the video for a moment there. I had an interruption on my phone. Now we're back here. I have just about, these two corners here are just about covered. I'm just gonna help it a little bit here with my fingers and move the paint over. There's a lot of paint on here. I feel if I spin it, I don't want to spin too hard, you know? So, questioning how well that tile is sitting up there. And spin it lightly, see if that gives me a little bit more. Well, this is certainly coming out very different than I originally expected. I would not mind if this paint here moved over just a little bit more for me, I tell you that much. So if we can get this to go a little bit further, I would be super happy with that. Wow, these colors are really pretty though. Excuse me. I need to go get a drink of water. Down in Florida, and there's different plants and flowers and things in bloom down here that I'm not used to, so affecting me a little bit today, the last couple days, so in my nose and my throat, so I sound a little congested. Alright, well this is really pretty. I think at this point I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to take the phone out of the holder and bring it down for a close-up, and I'll give you a close-up view here of what this looks like. Okay everybody, here we go. I took the tile off my spinner, brought it down onto the table so I could get a better view here with my phone. So here's the close-up. See if I can get my phone to focus. There we go. Look at these colors. So this little accident I had with the tile coming off actually worked out okay. These colors actually go pretty well together. A lot of pretty shimmer there with the metallics in there, and that color shift paint is amazing. We'll let this dry. I'll see how this turns out, and in the video, when I upload it, I will put a picture of it in the video of the dry tile, so you'll get to see that as well. So thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. Go ahead and hit the like button if you like the video, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down in the comment section. And I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.